Hi, everyone. Thank you, Cal State LA, for having us. And thank you for joining us this afternoon for a presentation on preserving LA punk history through collaboration with the UCLA Punk Archive. My name is Briana, and I am a current MLS student working in audiovisual preservation, mostly with materials from the Punk Archive.
Hello, thank you all for being here. My name is Paola Salazar. I am the Backlog Projects Assistant over at UCLA. Pretty excited to be here, and I'll pass it on.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm the audiovisual archivist at UCLA Library.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so the UCLA Punk Archive. So we started in 2013 with UCLA Library Special Collections, and we do focus on preserving the evolution of punk from the late 1970s to now. And all our collections are stewarded by the UCLA Punk Collective, which consists of UCLA Library staff, students, catalogers, archivists, professors, community members, and honestly anyone who would like to join. And they have an interest in scenes throughout Southern California. A lot of our members are actually from LA and they grew up in these scenes. And it's really fun when we do get some collections in, and then some of our members are like, oh, I remember being at this show, or I remember seeing this artist. So yeah, our collective is consists of a lot group of like-minded individuals. And we don't, it's important to note that we don't make decisions on our own when we're bringing in collections or when we're curating, making decisions. So we're not run by like curators or administrators. It's all a group effort. We're always like meeting and just discussing what we can do, what type of exhibit should we put, or like any shows. Next one. So what it is LA Punk? So when you think of LA Punk, I guess you think of the big names. So like Black Flag, X, and the Germs. But of course, LA is pretty diverse, and it's so much more. You know, you got Chicano punks, you got Black punks, disabled punks, and queer punks. Yeah. So we do. So like I said, yeah, we try to collect diverse materials. We try to show that punk is not monolithic. And yeah, we focus on different subcultures. We don't just have materials on bands. We do have zines, any like letters from fans, you know, stuff like fan mail. We were talking with my friend earlier how like fangirls make great archivists. So I thought that was pretty funny because a lot of fans do give us their stuff, and they do have like, you know, set lists that they picked up. Yeah.
Yes, and so some of the other stuff that we have in the archive that we've been trying to focus on is more documentation of queer art in LA, counterculture, and punk scenes, representations of queer art and life through the materials in the archive. This is a 2024 blog post by a previous student, Willa Needham, from the communications department. She was a student assistant there, and she looked into the materials in the S.A. Griffin collection, which when I first came to UCLA, I digitized all the audiovisual materials from this collection, and that was back in 2015. And so she looked at a lot of the photography and a lot of the paintings in this collection. We have Vaginal Davis, a portrait of the performance artist, and Tomata Duplanti, we have some paintings. And then some other fun stuff from the archive. We have a flyer for 1985 Twin Sisters performance. That was a performance group between Exene Cervenka and Wanda Coleman. A image from a zine, Chicanx Brown Girl Growl, by Chicanx Crybaby. We have a 35 millimeter slide from Cafe Flesh, which was a 1982, like punk production, post-apocalyptic, weird X-rated film with a lot of LA punks cast in it. And this is a 35mm slide that was scanned from one of the collections. We have cassette tapes. All these audio cassette tapes are from the Vale collection. They were all live recordings done by sound engineer Terry Hammer, who was the sound engineer for Mabuhay Gardens. All of these have been digitized and are accessible at UCLA. We also have an LP from Coven, Witchcraft Destroys Minds and Reaps Souls. That is also available. All of this has been digitized or scanned. A microcassette interview with Alice Bag from Razor Cake Magazine. An issue of Homeboy Beautiful, donated by one of our collective members, Kelly Besser, who's here today. This is a special issue that was given to her from the creator, Joey Terrell. A drawing from Diane Gamboa from Brainchild Magazine, 1994. Article from the cast of Desperate Teenage Love Dolls in Ink Disease magazine. A clip from a DVD, Ghost on the Highway, about Jeffrey Lee Pierce of Gun Club. I almost said outfit. Of Gun Club, Texacala. SPK performing at Al's Bar. We have the Al's Bar collection in the Punk Archive too. This is from a Throbbing Gristle zine. There's a lot of Throbbing Gristle materials in the Punk Archive. Some photographs from Karen Filter. We have the Karen Filter archives in the collection, Legal Weapon and 45 Grave. And is this me too? Oh, no, it's Briana.
A really interesting collection in the Punk Archive is the Janet Cunningham papers. Janet Cunningham moved to Los Angeles from New Orleans in 1978 with her son. And here she started the contemporary artist space of Hollywood, C.A.S.H for short. And C.A.S.H was a nightclub, community space, and casting agency. So Janet would find punks around the city and then cast them as extras in movies like Valley Girl and Night of the Comet, two movies that I really love. The collection includes casting cards, personal diaries, audition tapes, memorabilia, and more. And there's also materials related to African culture in New Orleans in her collection. I think she was making a documentary on the survival of African culture in New Orleans at the time. So these photos here, you can see some of the punks from C.A.S.H outside of Okie Dog in Hollywood. Pat Smear is in that photo. Janet's in it too. There's a flyer for C.A.S.H there as well. And here are some of the casting cards with some people you may recognize. We have Pat Smear from The Germs, later Nirvana. Tito Lariva from The Plugs. Courtney Love is in there too. And Tequila Mockingbird, which we have her collection in the archive as well. I have my notes. So Tequila is often described as a scenester. She befriended a lot of early punks in the late 70s. She is a writer, producer, musician, and actress, promoter, and archivist herself. She's hosted various public access TV shows. She booked bands for Peter Iver's show, New Wave Theater, in the 80s, and hosts her own show, Tequila TV. We've digitized footage from that show, from the original Umatic tapes, and then you're able to access those in the archive as well. The collection also includes those tapes, various zines, memorabilia, even clothing. As you can see in this photo, she's holding a jacket that belonged to the singer of the Weirdos, John Denny.
Okay, so then I'll be talking about Victor Cedillo. He was a photographer in the 1970s, and he documented a lot of the early punk scene with an emphasis on the San Pedro, Wilmington, and Long Beach area. Shout outs, Pedro. I live there. I'm from there. So it's pretty exciting when I was looking through, because I got to work on his collection for a bit, and it was pretty cool to go through some of the photographs, because I was like, I recognize this place. That's the refinery. His photographs have been exhibited at LA Harvard College. I went there too. I know there were shows at LAHC as well. And I know they were at like the Seahawks Center, and I really can't picture anything happening there, because the last time I was in there, it was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. So, so to find out that the Seahawk Center has hosted some shows and stuff is pretty fun. They've also been at his photographs have also been exhibited at Camera Vision Gallery and Angel Gate Cultural Center. I actually missed that one. One of my friends actually told me like, oh, there was a punk thing at the Angels Gate Center. I was like, really? Because I live pretty close. So I'm kind of hurt he didn't tell me. Um, so his photographs have also been published in multiple publications, including A Wailing of a Town, an oral history of early San Pedro punk and more by Craig Ibarra. And I know either it was last year, earlier this year, my local skate shop, Badfish, was selling these books. And I don't know, I want to say there was a book signing by Craig, but don't remember too well. But I do remember that my local skate shop was there selling copies. And I was like, wow. So yeah, his photographs do span from 1979 to 1980. And I want to say we are working on digitizing them, but TBD on that. Yeah, excellent. And then we also have the David Salcedo photo collection. So he was a musician turned actor, and he started his first band after seeing the Plugs play in LA. He was actually at the Punk Massacre that happened on March 17th, 1979. He managed to retrieve the set list, the guest list, and the go-go set list at that show after receiving a baton blow to the head from one of LA's finest. His collection does consist of Slush Number 2, Go-Go's, yeah, and some like a poster from Elks Hall, and as well as some buttons and an audio cassette that we scanned. Yay. And here's, oh, that's the audio cassette's digitized. Check it out. And so here are some scans of like what consists of the collection, or yeah, some materials that we have.
Collaboration is really important to us here at the archive. Yeah, okay, sorry. Collaboration is very important to us at the archive, and we emphasize collecting primary source materials directly from the creators themselves. And donors will aid us in writing finding aids and descriptions for their own collections when they can. So here we have a photo of David Markey in our audiovisual preservation lab at Powell Library, and he's holding his own C.A.S.H casting card. So you can see the photo of himself there. And we have been working to help David digitize his collection of Betacam tapes, which include music videos he directed for Sonic Youth and Black Flag, as well as his film Lovedolls Superstar, which we hosted a screening of at Braindead Studios on Fairfax back in July. And then we had 2 bands playing after the movie that night as well. We also put on events and programming. Here we have some photos. We have a photo of a zine fair celebrating Darby Romeo's Ben is Dead, zine workshops with the LA Public Library, and we often table at the LA Archives Bazaar. And here are some photos from the Curating Resistance conference that was organized by the UCLA Punk Collective.
Another big part of what we do are site visits, and this has a lot to do with the relationships that we have with donors and community members. The way that we've been contacted or contacted people about their collections is usually through friends or like word of mouth. So somebody will be like, oh, my friend has a bunch of stuff. Maybe you could check it out. And so usually a few of us will coordinate with this person, like, where are most of your materials? Like, do you want us to come over? We could talk about it. We can go through stuff together. So we'll organize these site visits. Members of the collectives will visit the homes and studios and spaces of community members, learning more about their collections through discussion. These visits are personal, emotional, and insightful. Unfortunately, a lot of the spaces that we go into, these carry stories, they carry grief. A lot of the people that we have their collections, they have passed away. And so we're meeting with people's family members or their best friend or their partner. So, it's a lot of listening and caring and being very thoughtful with how you're talking about the materials, and especially how you're talking about plans for the materials, because these are items that have lived in this space. They're a part of this space, and they have relationships to these people that you're talking to. So you want to be very sensitive when thinking of a plan, especially them going to a big institution, especially when these are like DIY punk materials. And so even the idea of them going somewhere like UCLA, it doesn't make any sense. And it's like you have to establish some sort of trust. Like your best friend's materials are going to go to UCLA there, and we're going to take care of them and make sure that when we describe them in the finding aid, it's going to be true to what they are and what they would want it to be.
I have a question. Is
Mhm.
it usually a relationship that you come to them or they come to you?
It goes both ways. People have come to us, they've written emails to, which we'll provide the email at the end of the presentation, but they've written emails to the collective like, hey, I have this collection, would the archive be interested in it? Or if somebody told us about a friend, like we could reach out to someone. And so these photos are Kelly Besser, processing archivist at UCLA, and Los Angeles Communities and Cultures archivist Delana Hunter at Brendan Mullen's studio. Also Kelly Besser at Tequila Mockingbird's house, going through some of the materials with Tequila and me. We were there together for a few hours going through a bunch of boxes, and as she would just come out of her house pulling different materials, and that was what the photo with Nina Hagen's fur coat is, and she's like, hey guys, get a look at this, and like came out wearing the coat. And then Geza X in his studio, showing some of the materials in his flat files. And then just to go a little bit more into some of the site visits that we've done, this is Brendan Mullen. He was a music promoter, writer, and DJ, founder of the Mask nightclub, and show booker for Club Lingerie, the Viper Room, and Luna Park. We visited his studio that was in the backyard of his home, and we visited that studio with his partner. Brendan Mullen has passed away, and we visited it with Kateri Butler, who was Brendan's partner, and went through stuff together with her, trying to like document quantity, what types of formats, the conditions of things, some of the subject matter. There was just floor to ceiling LPs because he was a big DJ. He just had everything, and the records were amazing. He had films, videotapes, so many books. And then this was a site visit to Jenny Lenz. This is a collection that is accessible at UCLA. And these are her filing cabinets. She had really great stickers on her filing cabinets. She was a photographer, also known as the girl with the camera eye, anointed by Patti Smith, with iconic work documenting the first generation of West Coast punk from 1976 to 1980. And then this is another site visit at the American Hotel and Al's Bar. This is a photo of Mark Kreisel at his bar before it sadly burnt down. This photo was taken by Kelly, the collective's archivist, during a site visit to the bar. Al's Bar was kind of like a grassroots creative complex, and the American Hotel was above it, often like hosting different artists and having a bunch of like experimental weirdo shows at Al's Bar. And it was designed by Mark, a conceptual artist.
So student work and contributions. So students are actually able to process some of these collections through the UCLA Center for Primary Research and Training scholarships. We've had a couple processing scholars. The most recent ones were Chloe and Layla, and they each won. I think Chloe got to do Jenny Lenz, and Layla got to do Donna Santisi. We've also had students process do some audiovisual preservation with the Vale collection. Students and assistants are also able to process some of these collections. I used to be a student assistant. I was still in the program, and I got to do Karen Filter, David Salcedo, and Victor, a little bit of Victor Cedillo. It's just involved, processing, doing the rehousing, inventory, digitizing, and also planning events around these collections. Musicology students also utilize our collections, to look through, and they get to learn. So here's a punk quilt made by students from Professor Schwartz's class, and there's also some pictures of students processing the Vale collection. And yeah, so part of when these collections are done processing, students do get a chance to promote them by doing some flash exhibits. I did one back in 2022. This was actually really fun for me. I got to pull stuff from our punk archive, and also we have a heavy metal music collection. I've had a lot of fun doing some research on what goes into a battle vest, the history of it. Yeah, I was like, wow, it came from the 1950s. Nice. They were called cuts. It was in World War II, guys that were flying. I guess I don't know why I'm forgetting right now, but when they came back, they still wanted that rush, for flying, so they started motorcycle clubs, and yeah, punks got inspired by their cuts, their vests all cut, and that's how So shout out to motorcyclists. They did their big one with that one. And then Layla Jafar did the Donna Santisi exhibit.
Rest in peace to Donna, by the way. She just passed recently, unfortunately. So we already have all this awesome stuff in the archive. And so you may be wondering what's next. We are always looking for new ways to continue to develop the archive. And we are doing that by prioritizing digital donations. We've been working on digitizing a lot of audiovisual materials, like I had just mentioned, these music videos by David Markey. And then we are working on integrating more contemporary punk scenes into the archive as well. So these images on the side are recent donations of videos, tapes, zines, and flyers by punks currently in the scene, Austin, Banyo, and Isis. We also hope to continue to engage the community by inviting past and present generations of punks to join the collective and help us coordinate future events and projects as well. And here's a list of collections featured in the archive, including the Vale collection, which I'm currently doing audiovisual preservation on, digitizing a bunch of audio cassette interviews from that collection. And then we also have collections such as Slash Magazine, Jenny Lens, and our punk zines and ephemera collection, and much more. So thank you for coming to our presentation. We hope you enjoyed learning about the punk archive, and I hope you all feel inspired to research more about punk. Again, you are able to access these collections for yourself and to look at them in the comfort of our reading room at Library Special Collections at UCLA. And then you can do that by going to this link or scanning this QR code, which will lead you to a research guide with more information there. And if you have any questions or want to get involved, you can also email us at this email that's on this slide as well. Thank you. Yeah, does anyone have any questions about anything?
You said it started in 2013?
Mhm.
You guys weren't there, because you guys were really little.
I was 13 years old. I was in middle school.
Like, who started it?
I don't know exactly who started it. Do we have more?
I mean, it was started by Library Special Collections, by one of the curators, Megan Frazier was. I'm looking at Kelly because Kelly is part of the Punk Collective and was there from the beginning. So I'm kind of like fact checking with
someone.
Yeah, there are still a lot of people in special collections, mostly who have been there since the beginning, who are really important to ideas of what the archive would be, that it would be run by a collective. And so I think since 2013, it's kind of like evolved, and we created a whole, I think it was like maybe 5 or more years ago, we built like a whole collecting policy, and we met with one of the curators to try to like outline what our priorities are, like what our collecting practices were, like what we were looking for and what we don't take in. So like that we wanted to work directly with the creators and the community members and not third-party sellers, and that we weren't looking for commercial materials, more like rare and unique stuff. So I think that it's kind of evolved over the years, yeah.
I have a question. I know that there's other research centers at UCLA. The one I'm thinking of is the Chicanx Resource Center. Do you all ever do like cross collaborations? For instance, you had an image there with Teresa Kubera's name. And so it caught my eye, right? Just personal, like, goddess to me. And so I wonder, like, do you ever kind of explore a possibility for cross collaborations?
I feel like we've collaborated with different departments. In the collective, there are people not just from the library. So there are staff from,
There's music library.
yeah, staff from the music library, staff from the ethnic studies centers, from the law library. So we are, all working as a group. I don't think we've done any direct collaborations for like events or programming with the Chicano Studies Research Center, but I think that we should. Yeah.
We definitely can.
Yeah.
You can.
I have another question. So earlier today, one of our presenters, Dr. Marlene Rios Hernandez, she's a punk scholar at CSU Fullerton and is doing research on, was it Diane? Chai? Thank you. Some of the images that Marlene showed us are also kind of showed up in your presentation too. So I wonder, for instance, like the photograph of Diane by Victor, is it Cedillo? Are there opportunities for researchers to like reach out directly to someone like Victor? Or do you play kind of like a connector role? Because I'm asking specifically because that's one of the things that we talked about, right, in the Q&A is like, kind of like uncovering histories that have been disappeared, and sort of like the recovery process of that. So I was wondering, maybe Victor knows something about Diane that then Marlene, you could tell Marlene about her story.
Answer the question?
We have, I mean, we put it in there because we have that photograph. So, but I mean, yeah,
We have like their contact
Yeah,
information.
we have their contact.
So we are able to make those connections if someone's interested, for sure.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I think that like we were talking about the collaborations and like that we are working directly with people to look at their collections and have them donate collections. And right now, Briana's working on Vale, so we were talking about we should reach out to him and let him know that she's digitizing all of his original interviews that he used to create research and his other magazines. And maybe something could happen there together. So I think like, and when we were planning the Lovedolls screening with David Markey, we had his DVD that was donated to the archive. It was by his partner, Jordan Schwartz, who did, what's the name? We Got Power zine with him for many years. And so we were like, okay, well, we can reach out to him to like figure out, is this the best copy of this material? So I think that if the researcher that you mentioned, I can't remember her name already, if Marlene wanted to reach out to Victor, that maybe we could be the contact point for that too.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yes, Gabe.
Hello.
Hi.
Name's Gabe. I'm Briana's classmate.
Hello.
So it's really I go to UCLA too. Just yeah, shout out to y'all. It's a really cool presentation.
Thank you.
I grew up in the punk scene too, so it's like really yeah, really exciting just to see it, reflected. I think I have like two questions, but whichever feels resonating to answer. I think y'all touched on this earlier, but just kind of trust and building trust, and I guess like the contradictions. You
Sorry.
can use that. All right.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh. So yeah, y'all touched on the like delicateness of like building trust and kind of alluded to the way I interpret it was that maybe like the contradictions of like archiving punk, right? Or UCLA and punk, right? Like how does that make sense? So yeah, just curious and like hear more from y'all, like how like the nuances of that. Punk is like the values are like really like anti-establishment or anti-institutional, and like archiving can um really be very much institutionalized, right? Or like institutions that don't reflect people's truths, right? So, yeah, just curious to know like how y'all navigate that, or what conversations have been sparked or growing, and yeah.
I haven't been with the collective for very long. I've only been here for about the year that I've been in school, but I think it certainly does help that, again, we are a group making the decisions, that it's a collective, and then we have meetings like biweekly, yes? Or is it biweekly? Yeah, we have meetings pretty frequently. It's bi-monthly? Okay, sorry.
And they just feel by.
Yeah, they feel biweekly. It definitely helps that it's a group of people making the decisions, and then we can kind of like, not that this happens, but we can kind of put each other into check if need be.
And also, a lot of the members of our collective have already personal connections with like donors, like they've known them for a while, so that helps as well. Yeah.
I guess I can just reference like we had a group of people that you saw. I'll go back to the slide. These new donations that we had, this just came in last week, and we had them come and visit the audiovisual preservation lab at UCLA. And I think we had a lot of conversations about like them donating their materials to the archive. And, like they are like DIY artists and show bookers, musicians. And I also think that like people eventually do decide to donate stuff to the archive because you want to be documented and represented. And even though it's going into an institution and it contradicts like everything that you believe in, you still want to see representation in there. And the donors, Austin, he was a part of a group. What was the name of the group that he had in South Central?
Lie detector, right?
He was doing lie detector, but he had another group that was organizing events out of South Central, and he was talking a lot about like the crossover between like the punk scene and gang culture. And he was asking like, do we have anything that kind of like shows that in our archive? He was like, I think it's really important to show that, and he kind of had documentation of that. And so I think that that kind of compelled him to like, okay, I want to see some of my stuff in the archive. And also, sometimes I think it happens that people don't have a secure space to keep their materials anymore. a lot of donations that we've had, you know, it's people that have all their materials in a shed and it flooded, or their landlord's going to evict them if they don't clear all this stuff out of the backyard, or they're living out of their car and this has been in the trunk forever. We had somebody who had a trunk full of tapes and she just didn't have anywhere to put them, so she just threw them away. So yeah, I think it also comes from just like wanting to see stuff that you care about in a space that is seemingly secure, and hopefully they'll be able to be shared in the future.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of it is that there's access for researchers, students, scholars, instead of primary resources. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's so great that it's a primary resource for research for everybody, students and anybody who wants to access those. So the access part of it is also an incentive for anybody who wants to, donate.
Can I ask another question? Okay, well, let me first of all say thank you so much for your presentation. I have so many questions, you know, and I really appreciate you also just being patient with us too in that transition. That was a little turbulent. So I'm kind of thinking about the question you posed and thinking about like, I guess, desire. Like, I have stuff that I've kept, right? And that, like, I keep it for a certain reason. It has, the object has some kind of like sentimental, you know, to use for lack of a better word, it's beyond sentimental, I think. It's some other kind of like power over me, right? Or it's very valuable to me. And I wonder, and I imagine like all of these collections that you're showing, like people save things because for a lot of reasons, right? Like a lot of almost like ineffable reasons. And so my question then is, does the archive have a desire too? Like, does the archive as a site, you know, collectively, how you organize and sort of the practices that you do at the UCLA Punk Archive, like, is there also like a feeling, an affect of a type of desire to like hold on and keep safe these objects, kind of like the person that keeps them? It's just a weird question that came to my mind right now when you were saying that. So you have to answer it. I would just, you know.
Do you mean like, do we have like, are we bringing our own like sentimental feelings into our work as we're doing stuff with the archive?
Yeah, that could possibly, yeah.
I mean, I think like we all carry our own nostalgia and connections to the materials. So I think that it is emotional work that we're doing when we're processing or digitizing things. And like, especially I work in audiovisual, so does Briana. It can be really difficult, especially like if you have an old cassette tape and it's got mold on it or it has degradation, and maybe you played it and then it broke and now you have to fix it and you're like, I hope that it will play again. Or if there's like, when you do play it, there's like all of these errors coming up, like you feel that sense of loss and you want to fix it because you know it's the only material that's left. And you want to do right by the person who donated it too.
I'm trying to think of an answer to this question. Yeah, there's one of the tapes I'm working on is a Black Flag documentary that David Markey made, and that has the tape is coming off of the backing. So it's kind of like been really difficult to try to get it to, I feel like I'm like trying to revive it, like giving it CPR. But yeah, like Allie said, like you really like want to do right by the donors and make sure that their stuff is represented properly. But I think for me, like I really enjoy working with this material because so many of the people that were involved in these scenes were so young. And I also grew up going to shows as a teenager, so it like really means a lot to me to like know that people have always turned to this kind of music for like a sense of belonging. So, and I can like feel that just like looking at the photos and like the set lists and the little pins that people collect. It's really, really cool to see. So that's why I feel like I am really drawn to this work and to integrating more contemporary scenes. And I think that is like my desire is to like keep it alive. Like you like things that are archived are not always necessarily in the past. Like you don't have to think about it that way. Like it's like just like an ongoing, like continuous process. And that's what means a lot to me when we do this kind of work, I think. If that is a good answer to your question. Does anybody who just came in the past few minutes have any questions? I don't know if we're going way over time. I'm sorry.
Hello.
One of the things I really liked that y'all talked about was the events. I think you alluded to like the screenings and the shows. I feel like very passionate about that, concept or that practice of bringing the archives to life or like in present, as you said. And like one of the ways I'm like really inspired by is when we have like community events, and bringing the archives to the people and making more access versus just like, hey, like the door's open, you can sign up for an appointment, right? So anyways, like how do y'all go about your events? Um is that a regular thing or is it just like a objective of the collective that y'all just try to meet or yeah, how does that happen? That's really cool.
I don't know what it was like before I came into the collective, but I feel like lately we are pushing to host more events. And it can be a challenge sometimes, just with like administrative things, I feel. But we try really hard to get things to happen. And I feel like lately we've had a lot of really good ideas. I don't know.
I mean, I also feel like we're after, the pandemic, we're also barely starting to get into the groove of trying to do more events. But yeah, right now we're kind of with administration, we are having a little bit of difficulty. But usually, yeah, during our meetings, someone pitches an event in and we try to like a couple months in advance, we do try to like push for it. So yeah.
I also think that sometimes our events happen because people reach out to us and want to do events with us. And that's something that we didn't talk about, or I think I was supposed to cover it and I forgot. But is that we work a lot with people that are doing similar projects or running similar archives. So we have people reach out to us like, oh, I'm doing the Bakersfield Punk project. I'm having people bring in all of their records to the local record store and I'm going to digitize it for them and build a digital archive. Or like we had, we had the Goethe Institute reach out to us. They're doing 50 years of punk programming and they reached out to the Punk Archive. Do we want to organize something with them for their exhibition that's coming up? And we've collaborated with people that are doing oral histories, conducting the oral histories with them. So I feel like a lot of events have come from like these like collaborations with people that are doing similar things, which is really nice because then we can support each other and share how we're doing it, what didn't work, connect with people like maybe somebody's trying to find out more about an artist or looking for some materials and we can connect them with that or like they know and like we can learn about it. So that happens a lot too.
Question. Give the microphone for Zoom. Okay. I just want to say that here at Cal State LA, so I work in special collections and archives. I would be happy to collaborate with you if you are interested in doing some sort of community archiving event.
So, so I'll reach out to y'all. I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. That sounds great.
We've been trying to do like a DIY preservation workshop for a while, but I think we need like a lot of space for that. It's a lot of parts that need to come together, but that'd be really cool too, if that's something that seems like it's possible. for you guys.
So we're gonna post the library and absolutely love.
Let's do it. Let's send us an email and then you can join one of our meetings.
Invite you to one of our meetings. Yeah. We're actually gonna have a collab with LAPL. We're gonna do a zine workshop. Yeah. So we do collab with the public library. Mhm. Yeah. We do.
If everybody wants to see the slides, I'll skim through them for everyone that came in. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. Lots of really cool photos. Any other questions or how are we on time? How do you guys feel?
Since you got that late start, you guys can go as long as you want. So if you're good, good. If you're not, keep going. Or if we have any more questions,
Yeah,
anybody
if
have any
there's
more
another
questions?
question. No?
No? Okay.
Guys good?
All right.
Thank you so much.